What's going on, guys, in the works, and welcome to another Battlefield 3 Showdown. And today we're doing the PP-19 versus the P90, which are two personal defense weapons with high ammo counts, but they don't do a whole lot of damage, so they're pretty similar in that respect. But last week we did two assault rifles that were of the burst variety. We did the AN-94 versus the KH-2002, and it looks like the KH was the surprising victor. Much to my dismay, because if you know, I did pick the AN, but a lot of people in the comments like the KH better too. But there were a handful of you guys who were in my corner and like the AN. So I think we can definitely declare the KH the clear-cut winner in that. So if you want to be involved in this week's episode, be sure to vote in the Facebook poll, and I'll leave your comments in the description on what you might like to see in the future, etc., etc. But the P19 versus the P90, woo, this is a pretty interesting matchup in my eyes. I wanted to do this one because I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with each of these weapons. So the past week I've been toying around with both of them, and let me say, I've never had a more lopsided affair than I have with these two weapons. Now, the biggest difference between these two is the damage, because they both have really high magazine counts. So you're looking at 55 with the PP-19, and I think you get 50 in the P90, so that's really high. What that's going to do is it's going to keep you from having to reload all the time, and that's pretty important when you're in firefights. But what you trade for these larger magazines is a pretty slow reload, because the P90 takes about 2.9 seconds to reload, and the PP-19 takes about 3.8 seconds to reload, and that's if it's empty. So a substantial amount of time spent reloading. That's part of the trade-off you do when you do have these larger magazines. Another thing is they both don't do a whole lot of damage. The PP-19 only does a max damage of 16.7, whereas the P90 does 20. Now the thing about the PP-19 is the drop-off is substantial. It drops down to a 9.1 damage weapon at its range, at its max range. So that's a lot of bullets to kill, and it renders it almost useless at range. So that's one of the biggest struggles I had using the PP-19, is just the fact that the bullets do so little damage. Because the P90, it does 20 damage, but then it only drops off to a 10 damage weapon. So it does do 9.9 more damage at range, and that's a lot, because that's one less bullet that it takes to kill. And so I definitely give the edge to the P90 in that category. I found that it's a lot easier to kill people a little bit further away with the P90 than the PP-19. The PP-19 just takes way too many bullets, and I had a lot of problems with that. I actually struggled a little bit with the PP-19. It took me a while to learn how to use it, but I really found no advantage to using the PP-19 over the P90, just because they are so similar. I mean, you get almost a second faster reload with the P90. The only thing you're gaining from the PP-19 is that 5 extra bullets within its round drum, because it does have that Russian round drum, or I think it's a Russian, it's like a cylinder on it. So you can see there how many bullets that took to kill that guy at range, a substantial amount. So there are some struggles that you'll run into if you're trying either of these weapons. They're both really good up close, obviously. I mean, as are all personal defense weapons, or the SMGs that can go on any kit. So you can keep that in mind when picking out between these two. But I definitely give my edge to the P90. The P90, I think you unlock it at level 40, where the PP-19 you actually unlock via the assignments. So you have to get 10 MCOM arms, 10 Conquest flag caps, and I believe you have to play on Karkan for 2 hours. So it's not really too hard to unlock the PP-19. In fact, it takes little to no skill. But that being said, it's really going to come down to preference, as I say in a lot of my videos. Ooh, I just had to leave that knife in there, guys, because that was nasty. That was nasty. It really just comes down to preference. I mean, what do you prefer? Do you want that 5 extra bullets? I mean, they both fire at 900 rounds per minute, so you're not really choosing between rates of fire. The only really big difference between the two is the fact that, one has, where did that guy come from? One has a faster drop-off, and really I've never seen a reason to want to have that faster drop-off. Now, recoil patterns are really a huge issue when you're talking about personal defense weapons. I will say this, though, the downward recoil is a little bit quicker on the PP-19, and what that means is it does more pull downwards, which means when you are firing a weapon, it'll come back to the center a lot quicker. So it's like the centering speed of the weapon is a lot faster on the PP-19 than the P90, but I really don't find that an issue. I mean, considering that you're always trying to be in close whenever possible, because you don't want to try to take people on long range. I mean, being a 10 bullet plus kill, you don't want to try to take on long range opponents, just because you'll really put yourself at a huge disadvantage, and you're gonna lose a lot of gunfights that way. So let me know what you guys think in this week's Facebook poll. Be sure to vote. I'm curious to see if you guys agree with me, because I really just don't enjoy using the PP-19. Don't let my decision sway your vote, though. I mean, both are solid choices if you like to run and gun and get really close. I just think that the P90 just does a better job than the PP-19. Not to mention the P90 also has better iron sights. So a lot of positives going for the P90. It's almost exactly the same as the PP-19, other than the fact that it does 4 points more damage. So that's really the only true victory it has over the PP-19. So let me know. Be sure to vote in this week's Facebook poll, and be sure to let me know what you might like to see in a future episode, because I always take it into consideration what you guys say. It's really important. You can either leave a comment or post on this week's Facebook poll what you might like to see. But a lot of people have been requesting we do some more LMGs. There's been a lot of requests for the RPK versus the M27, and the PKP versus the Type 88, and also the PKP versus the M60. So I'm going to decide one of those, and I'll probably surprise you sometime next week, because I like to be a little bit... I'm going to keep this week's a surprise, but we will be doing some sort of LMG, so get ready for that. It should be pretty exciting. But if you missed any of the episodes last week, now's your chance to catch up. We had the AN94 versus the KH2002, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, and then we also had the MP7 versus the PP2000, which is probably my favorite episode yet, because I really enjoy both of those personal defense weapons. So check either of those out. Be sure to subscribe and vote in this week's poll, and I will see you guys next time.